What's up, motorheads, and welcome back to Gearbox Pizza. Today we're going to take a look at that giant grill that happens to be attached to a pretty nice and capable electric SUV. Yeah, I'm talking about BMW's first real purpose-made e-SUV, the iX. So go ahead and hit that pause button so you can put the kids to bed, take that pupper out for a walk, warm up some of yesterday's leftovers, and grab an O'Doul's because we are fixing to have a little bit of fun up in here. So yeah, the world is going electric. The gist is, look, if your current car isn't electric, your next car might be electric, but that car after that, well, I will bet you my next paycheck that you'll be running on a steady supply of electrons well before the decade is over. So right now we're sort of in this interesting time where we're finally starting to get some real nice electric options. I mean, it feels like we've been waiting for this a while, but the day is just about upon us where we can get a relatively compromise-free, nice, and just proper electric vehicle. So notice how I said relatively there? Yeah. So that's because the only real compromise here is that these things are expensive. I mean, very expensive, actually. I'm just going to throw this out there right now. The iX will start at about $85,000, and that is not even for the fast one. Now, the government is here to help, and it might actually end up helping a lot. Look, there is legislation running its way through the bowels of democracy right now that could see the EV tax credit going up to a very, very helpful $12,500. And look, if this happens, well, that pretty much makes up the difference. And the pricing delta between EVs and gas cars it's gonna be close to zero. So come on, let's make this happen, people. All right, so enough about that. Let's get into it and address the elephant or mega grill in the room. So yeah, imagine that. Brand new BMW, and the only thing anybody's talking about is that grill. Look, I get it. It's huge. It's out there. It's going to still take some time to get used to, I know. And if you just want to, I guess, just kind of write this thing off on your list right now, just go for it. I get it. I'm not going to try and change your mind, I promise. Bottom line, styling wise, right now, look, this just isn't for everybody. I will say this though, remember when the new 4 Series came out, or even the new M3? Well, it was sort of the same thing. I mean, everybody and their uncles were screaming bloody murder for that mega grill. Fast forward a year, and a lot of those voices have quieted, and some critics have actually changed their mind. I might be one of them. Yeah, look, okay, I like the new M3 and its crazy grill. There, I said it. Anyway, the outside being what it is the inside that should just pretty much just please everybody. I mean, look, the interior is just beautiful, and I don't think many people think otherwise, but look, we'll get more into the interior soon. All right, so what exactly is the iX? Well, I think the best way to put it is that it's sort of a cross between the X5 and the X6. Look, it's actually the same length and width as the X5, but it's as short as the X6. And most importantly, it is all electric, and it's full of those next-gen bells and whistles. So it's got a published range of about 300 miles, and apparently the actual range should be pretty close to that, so that's cool. Deliveries in the US should start in about June of 2022, and pre-orders are actually open right now. It's got 2 electric motors that provide full-time all-wheel drive, and it's made of this trick carbon fiber reinforced plastic that really kind of helps shave down that weight. Anyway, this thing should be going head-to-head with the Audi e-tron, that new Mercedes EQC, who's naming these things? Anyway, the Model X, and probably that Rivian R1S. All right, let's talk performance. So, as I said earlier, there's 2 electric motors, and they're gonna make a combined 516 horsepower. And that's enough juice to get this thing to 60 in about 4.4 seconds, so it's fast. I mean, I'd say it's very fast, but look, it's not quite stupid fast, if that makes any sense. Now, if you happen to be in the market for stupid fast, well, there's always a Tesla, but if you want to stick with BMW, they got you covered. There's going to be an M60 model of this thing, and it's going to make at least 600 horsepower, but more on that later. So info is very limited and is not available for pre-sale yet, but we're expecting that M60 to start at least 95 grand, with most of these being spec'd well into the 6-figure territory. Yo, these things ain't cheap. Anyhow, how does this thing drive? Well, the very early consensus is that this thing actually drives pretty well. So to quote Car and Driver, they said it has plentiful power, surprising energy efficiency, agile handling, and a smooth ride. So yeah, sounds like it drives like a real BMW, so that's cool. I'm also kind of fully expecting this thing to carry on the tradition of sportiness from the X5 and X6, so this is all good news. All right, so we know it's fast, cool. We also know the range is a solid real world 300 miles, and that comes from this pretty well sized 106.3 kilowatt hour battery, so that's all right. As with just about all EVs these days, DC fast charging is going to be standard, and BMW is claiming that a 10 to 80% charge, it's just going to take about 35 minutes when you're sucking power from a 200 kilowatt connection. All right, so that's all good news, right? Yep. So what's the bad news? Well, it's more or less the same bad news for every EV outside of Tesla, and I'm talking about the absolutely dreadful public charging network. And BMW's partnered with EVgo, which is a toilet, but you'll be able to charge on other public charging networks that are also toilets. So look, there's just no other way to put this. If you have anything other than a Tesla, charging this thing anywhere other than your garage is just going to be a little bit of a nightmare. But hey, with 300 miles of range, hopefully you won't have to subject yourself to this modern day electric torture like all that often, because it's just bad out there. Personally, I'm pretty surprised that more car companies haven't borrowed that page from Tesla's playbook. Look, I know it's expensive to roll out these charging networks, but come on. I mean, look, it is not just BMW, it's everybody. I mean, you're gonna drop $100 grand on this brand new fancy dancy EV with this beautiful dealership and this free fancy coffee with all that foam and these complimentary biscotti, but you're gonna allow the public charging experience to be such a pain point? I don't get it. All right, to the inside, this is gonna put me in a better mood for sure. So look, yeah, they freaking nailed it. I mean, this thing might be one of the most stylish interiors you can buy at just about any price. I mean, it sort of looks like a movie car, you know, when you're like, why can't we have cars like this in real life? It almost feels like you're inside of like some Scandinavian dive bar, like one without a sign, and you know, it's like the sort of place that I'm nowhere near handsome enough to be inside, right? I mean, I guess it's that cool. You've got this giant curved screen. Well, it's actually two screens really. You got a 12.3 inch gauge cluster, and then you got this 14.9 inch infotainment display, but whatever. It comes with a brand new iDrive 8 system that's pretty excellent. You got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto that are standard, and you even get this Wi-Fi 5G hotspot. Look, by the way, can somebody explain to me why we need these like 5G hotspots when literally everybody's got a phone on them at like all time? Anyway, you get this 18 speaker Harman Kardon sound system as standard, but there's an option for it. Get this, 30 speaker Bowers & Wilkins sound system that actually embeds speakers directly into the seats. I mean, that's pretty rad. So there's this giant panoramic sunroof, which is cool, but everybody's got one of these things these days, right? But look, this one's got electrochromic shading, if I am saying that word right, I don't know. But you know, it's like when you touch this button and there's an electrical pulse that just darkens all the glass, so you don't need a physical shade. So that's pretty freaking cool. The front seats, the back seats, I mean, just check them out, they're lovely. You have options for all different kinds of materials on the inside. You can go with the genuine leather if you're into that stuff. You can get a synthetic leather, which is very nice, or you can get this fabric, which all good things. So there it is, the BMW iX. And time will tell if they went a little too crazy with that exterior styling. And like, I'm betting people will eventually come around to it, but how does this thing stack up against the competition? Because the competition in this segment is getting pretty nuts. The Model X, for example, it's faster, it's got more range. Now look, I've never found the Model X to be like particularly handsome. I mean, Teslas are just sort of a little generic looking. Like it's just kind of true. And look, we'll leave the exterior styling alone for now. The iX is just kind of an order of magnitude nicer on the inside. Okay, so the Rivian R1S. All right, look, we really like the Rivian. And it's gonna be about the same price. And if you go with the Rivian, look, good on you, no problems here. But it is significantly bigger than the iX. And look, for some people that's gonna be a plus, but for other people that's gonna be a little bit of a drawback. For example, the Rivian is almost exactly the same size as the much larger X7. And look, if you don't have kids, you don't need a third row of seats. I mean, the iX might just be a better size for you. Then there's the Cadillac Lyriq, and look, this thing's cool. It's about the same size, similar price, similar specs. It's probably better looking on the outside, but not as nice on the inside. I mean, I suppose when it comes down to it, you just pick the one that feels right. I mean, it is pretty amazing that we've got so many options in this price range, so just go check them all out. You sort of just can't go wrong. The iX should be on your list if for no other reason than that crazy cool interior.